Hello, third and fourth grade. Welcome to reading class for this Monday. We are going to continue reading our book, May Be. And we are going to introduce something new today. We are going to talk a little bit about internal conflict. Internal. Now, if we look at the words internal conflict. Internal means something that's inside of you, a problem that you are struggling with yourself. Maybe it's trying to stay motivated to do school stuff right now inside of you, and you're like, oh, I have to get e-learning things done, but I don't feel like it. That would be an example of internal conflict. You are not, now if you are having a conflict with your parent saying, you need to do this, and you're like, no, I don't. That's external. That's an outside person. Internal is something that you struggle with. And so we have talked about conflicts. Remember, conflicts are opposing forces. They go against each other. Today we're going to talk about internal conflicts. And we're going to work on trying to identify internal conflicts with may be as we're reading today. So rather than doing a vocabulary activity, we are going to do a reading journal entry, and then you need to identify 2 internal conflicts that may be experienced in that section. Okay? So if we're looking back and trying to tie in internal conflicts, we're going to take a look at the section that we read on our own for last time. And last time you did pages 98 to 110. And I think one of the things that I was talking about what I read about is when May is on her own. And if you look at page 99, I pulled the door open, stand with my hands on my hips and yell into the morning, guess what, Mrs. Oblinger? I don't think you're too bright yourself. Ha! So I guess she's having a conflict with Mrs. Oblinger who's not there. Right? So she's basically upset because remember earlier in the book, Mrs. Oblinger had called her stupid. So she is getting angry and retaliating right now because nobody is there. So she's starting to get these angry feelings because she's stuck in this house by herself, this sati, and she can't go anywhere. And it's interesting. I mean, you can parallel that a lot to us right now. We are stuck in our homes, having to do learning on a screen and worksheets, and we miss the socialization of going outside for recess with our friends or having art class or just being around other people our age. And so she's getting a little angrier. Is that happening with you? Are you getting a little angrier? Are you getting a little more annoyed with your parents or your siblings because you're around them all the time? I know, and that's understandable, and we should try to control that, and we ask God for help to strengthen us and help us not to get upset. But that obviously was not what she was doing that day. So she was starting to have some problems. And so now she's getting upset. She's hearing things. She thinks that there is a wolf there. She was talking about how someone told her a story about wolves being surrounded. So then she realizes that Mr. Oblinger took a rifle so that she doesn't have any way to defend herself. And then she also talks about in 106 about Miss Sanders. And Miss Sanders was someone who seemed like a very, very good teacher, and that she worked with maybe, and then teacher came. And that's when I think things started to go downhill for her. It could seem like the other teacher realized that May had an issue and she was willing to work with her. Well, the other teacher was like, well, what's your problem? Why can't you read like everybody else? So that's where we left off. So now we're looking at page 112. And we need to make a prediction. So she is still in the sati. And the last time we read, it says, I grasp the handle, throw my pillowcase over one shoulder, and step out onto the prairie. So at this point, do you think May is going to leave? I think so. So for my prediction, I'm going to say May is leaving the sati. internal conflicts as they come up. So please listen as I read this section. I am going to read pages 112 to 123. You are going to complete 124 to 134 on your own. So please follow along on page 112. How did Pod get here? I see nothing to point the way. I walk alongside the Oblinger's little creek, hoping it will lead to the river, to a neighbor, to the outskirts of town. The grass is dried to silver green. It slaps my legs as I push forward. Sweat trickles between my shoulder blades. Impossible to think there was just frost just this morning. I have only the stream and endless grasses to guide me. So she's trying to get home, but she doesn't know where to go. Sometimes I see wagon ruts, a memory pressed in dry mud. If western Kansas had more folks, this would be easier. There might be a well-worn path by now. Grasshoppers fly about me. I swat at them with the broom. My stomach clenches, so I shake some crumbled cornbread from the stocking straight into my mouth. Then up ahead I spot the jagged branches of a currant bush. Late summer birds have picked over the berries that remain. I grab at what's left, red-black juice staining my fingers, eating, pocketing the dry ones, squatting until my knees ache. I stand and stretch, look behind me, recognizing nothing. Something rustles and I reach for the broom. Like me, the animal freezes. We stay that way until my shoulders throb. Then a jackrabbit leaps beside me. I drop the broom, fall back, glimpse its dashing zigzag. My breath comes short and painful. Oh, it was a rabbit, I say, but the words mean nothing to the weakness creeping up my legs. Here's what's true. Already the evening sky is pushing back the daylight. Goose flesh tingles on my arms. I don't know where I am. I can't know where I'm going. And suddenly I'm running back. I'm running. My heel slams into the hard-packed earth. Running. My breath is jagged. Running. Birds scatter from their grass nests. I need those walls around me. The pillowcase slaps my back. Pain rips through my ankle. I tumble to the ground and curse the hole I've stepped in. The sky is almost black when limping I reach the soddy. My ankle's purple. Those stupid boots. Fetching water today, I catch a glimpse of myself in the stream. Hair hanging in clumps, dress ripped at one shoulder. I haven't used the wash tub since the Oblingers left. My eyes study the dirty girl. I finger the last few currants still in my pocket. Maybe I could go back and check for more. If I hadn't been startled, if I'd stuck it out a little longer, I'd have bulging apron pockets. Maybe I'd have reached another soddy. That neighbor, Mr. Chapman's gone, but I'd found his place. Surely he'd have some jerky, a tin of soda crackers left behind. But now, with this ankle, I can't go far, and the wolf. I shiver, remembering how frightened I was of just a little rabbit. I sit beside the stream, dipping my fingers in the icy water in summer. Pa and Hiram bring in trout, speckled bodies writhing in their hands. I trail my fingers, wiggling them like Hiram showed me. Nothing happens. So I think she was hoping if she wiggled her fingers that she'd catch a fish, but it didn't happen. I run holding my skirts above my knees. I holler and skip and make faces at the outhouse. I slam the door, take a spoon to the pots and pans. I whistle, I spit, think of as many unladylike things as I can and do them. Out in the open for the whole empty world to see. A thin sheet of ice crept across the water pail last night. I take the dipper and push through to scoop a drink, then stir the fire for breakfast. The sky holds the high white of snow. It is too early for this. I am not ready. Maybe there won't be a storm after all. Autumn is devious. Calm afternoons with no hint of breaking can turn violent, bringing wind, ushering in rain, or even snow. Or maybe I haven't been paying enough attention. I'll get trapped out here in a blizzard on my own. Maybe. Snow is falling. Why did I not prepare when the weather first turned? I have left so many things undone. Maybe I should check the garden for one last potato. I should have gathered more chips to burn yesterday. Ooh, so now she's experiencing winter is coming. And now she's like, what am I going to do? Because remember, back then, before when winter would come, they spent months preparing, getting food so that they would not have to go out. She hasn't done that because she didn't think this was going to happen. She didn't think she'd be by herself. So let's take a look. So I think if we were going to summarize this, we would say May tried to leave the sari. She twisted her ankle. And she went back into the sari. So she went back there. So poor Maisie. Okay, so now we predicted, we summarized. Let's connect. Right away when she talked about how she twisted her ankle and stepped in a hole, I have done that, and I know how that feels. So, and that hurts. I have twisted my ankle before. And then we will go to evaluate. I agree with her trying to leave. I think her trying to get out of there is a good idea. I mean, really, what does she have to lose at this point? If she stays, there's a possibility she could starve to death. I mean, it's a shame she hurt herself and now she's stuck, but I agree with her trying, at least giving it an attempt. So I'm going to say I think it was good. It was a good idea. For May to try and escape. Or try and, maybe not really escape. Maybe I think a better use of words to try and go home. And so predict, summarize, connect, evaluate, question. Okay, I have another question. So now she's there, her ankle hurts. Is she gonna try again? Once it gets better? I mean, now it's starting to snow. Now what? Is she just gonna stay there and just say, well, I guess this is how it is? I'm gonna say, well, May try to leave again. And then my visualize will be her, I'm gonna draw a picture of an ankle. Color it to start. So that's her ankle that she hurt. Now, last one I want you to add, internal conflicts. Let's do an internal. How about we do one? So now this is gonna be the one thing we're gonna add. Remember, a conflict is two opposing forces, right? So she obviously had, this is something that she is going to be struggling with herself. So I would like to go back. You're going to write down the page number where you found it. You can put this one down. So I'm going to put down page 115. May wants to leave but she runs back to the sari. So I need you to write down the page number and then what was the internal conflict. She wants to get out of there. She doesn't want to be there anymore, but she realizes she needs those four walls to feel safe because she knows she has no idea where she's going. So it's like part of her is like, I want to go home. The other part of her is like, that's not a good idea. So it's kind of like this fight that she has internally. That is an internal conflict. So your job for tomorrow is to do pages 124 through 134. You did this. You should do another one now. You do 124 to 134. Go through the strategies and add internal conflict. Make sure that you add a page number for that to support what you found. I look forward to reading your entries. Thanks. Bye.